There is a big difference between playing a team sport and playing an individual sport. Once again, you need to know which game you are playing. Today, we want to look at which game you should want to play because there is a way to do business that leaves you playing your own game and making everyone else competition. There is a way to play this game where we play as a team and we all win. So let's take a look at that today on the Daily Dance.
Welcome to the Daily Dance with your host, Brad Richardson.
Well, thanks again for joining us on the Daily Dance. So good to be with you starting another week here, and it is possibly the last really warm day of the summer for us where I live, so I am more casual today. Going to enjoy that while we can, and actually it can be a little bit of a survival tactic because of the home office here, and it can get a little warm in the afternoons, and we're doing an afternoon show, so um, let me just unfurl some of my sleeves here and get ready for the show. It is so good to be able to do these podcasts and to touch on the subjects that we get to touch on. I'm passionate about these. I hope you are as well, and I hope more and more of you can generate some passionate concern for these different topics that we're going to talk about today, because they can make a huge difference in your career, but they can make a huge difference in our communities and our businesses overall. And that's really what we're after here on the Daily Dance. If you're new to the Daily Dance, the name of the show is because the rule that we try to follow, is that you're supposed to start every day with a little dance before you step out the door to go to work, before you start your shift, before you start your day. You do a little dance to the music in your head, and get yourself in a at least slightly better mood to be moving ahead. So it's going to be a little bit foolish. It feels a little bit silly. That's the point. We don't want to take ourselves too seriously, but we want to take the subject matter that we're dealing with very seriously. So right now where you are, even if you're in your office, get your workmates to do the dance with you, but let's go ahead and do our daily dance. And there we go. All set, ready, and action. So today we are talking about how we are in this together. We are in this together. What am I talking about? I am talking about our approach to business and the way that we choose to do things. Because most of us, I would guess, are simply in the business of making enough money to pay the bills and to fund our lives and help us to get where we want to go, to get our families where we want them to go. And that's normal. But the problem is that if we focus solely on that and we look only at things from our perspective and what we need, what we want, and wanting really not to have to be any more involved with our businesses than we have to be, again, understandable, but it can leave us in a place where we end up contributing to those businesses' demise unwittingly, because we can end up just becoming yes people, right? We can end up wanting, for the sake of avoiding argument and friction, and we have bosses. We have to do what they say in the end, and it's just easier to default to going whatever you want, whatever you need. I'll go ahead, I'll get that for you, and away we roll. All understandable, okay? Very understandable. And So what am I talking about when I'm talking about, we're in this together? I'm talking about the fact that there's another way to do business that is where we are concerned about the business doing things right and doing things well. And we're talking about ethics, but we're also talking about things that are just efficiency and performance based. That we can be focused on those things. And if we focus on those things, those aren't just ideals. Those things actually help businesses perform better, and they allow owners and executive teams to make more money and investors to make more money. And it allows jobs to be more stable and allows everyone to succeed. So this is not some pie in the sky, uh, anti rich kind of message. That's not my point. Uh, I'm a big believer in the fact that a rising tide does lift all ships, but you've got to really have the tide rise, not just be not just be devising, making a better life raft so you have a good exit plan when things start to go down and you can get off with your stuff. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about succeeding, businesses prospering so that everyone involved prospers. And I do mean everyone. I want investors to make more money. I want owners to be successful and meet their goals. But the best way to do that, I'm convinced, is to do things in a way where everybody succeeds because it will be more stable, it will grow longer, and in a lot of cases, it will grow faster in the end um, if we do things in a way where we're focusing on doing things good and well. And we're talking about ethically and performance based, right? So, first of all, a business does exist to make money. Okay, can we settle that? Businesses do exist to make money. It's not the only reason they exist. The other reasons depend on who owns them and if you have some other goals that you want to meet along the way. If you're into renewable energy, maybe you're concerned about being a good steward of resources and that sort of thing. Um, you can go into other businesses that do help segments of society specifically by what they do, and you're into that. But you start a business um, to make money, and maybe it doesn't exist. Maybe saying it exists to make money is a little bit strong, but I hope you see my point. Obviously, one of the things you have to do for a business to survive is make money. Is that fair? One of the things you have to do is make enough money so that you get to open up the doors tomorrow. So we do need to do that. So that keep that in mind as we discuss a lot of these other things, because everything else I'm going to talk about, these ways of doing business, this mentality that I want to encourage you to have toward your job and toward your position is still, I'm saying these things with this in mind, that yes, a business does exist to make money, and we need to make as much profit as we reasonably can. Okay, but from there we go on to stability, safety, and growth, and I believe that all these go together: stability, safety, and growth. And I got thinking about that experientially. I know this to be true. When you have a safe and stable environment where employees feel safe to object when they see things going the wrong way, when bad ideas come across in the team meeting, and the business is looking at making a decision that they see that's going to be disastrous, and they feel free to say something. That is a good thing. That helps us avoid the thing that causes us to lose money. And it's also a healthy environment to work in because you feel heard. It's not as oppressive. And all that leads to growth. That stability and safety leads to that growth. And I went out just real briefly, looking, are there any studies out there? And I found a website. So shout out to these guys. I need to go back and dig deeper because this is my first time coming across them. But there's this great chart: 100 best companies beat the market by a factor of 3. So when you dig into the data and you look at the data and see what companies that are actually have the best workplace. They feel safest. Um, all those things. And let me get that out because this is a great place to work. Shout out to Great Place to Work and source where they source their data from and all that. But this is excellent, excellent stuff, and really appreciate that they're doing what they're doing. Um, but let me get that out of the way. There we go. But that safety then obviously leads to that growth. And we all want that. And these aren't new ideas. I'm not saying that they are. They can be hard to implement because sometimes promoting a safe work environment can be very frustrating because a lot of us, frankly, when you get into leadership positions, when you get in a situation where you're just trying to get some things done, you do start to feel like, I just want people to do what I want them to do, and let's get going. Let's get this done. You want to do things with as little friction, as little hassle as possible. But the problem is that if you've hired good people, you need them to feel safe to be able to speak up when they see the ship is heading for the rocks. When they see that there's something bad going to happen, they need to be able to speak up and say something. And they need to be able to speak up early and have those discussions, even when it's still not definite. They still can't be 100% sure that they're right, but they need to be able to raise the concern and know that it's going to get a thorough hearing. I want all of you to be able to be those people. And I want here's maybe the crux of my argument for this episode today. It's just that you're not helping yourself long term by not saying anything, by just keeping your head down and just working away. Yeah, there are seasons for that. There are moments for that. You do have to know, okay, is this the meeting where I say something? Is it not? You don't want to be just, a constant burr in people's saddle. But you have to be able to speak up. And if you do, you're going to help guarantee the longevity and the success of your business. And so help secure your job and make your environment more stable. If you don't say something, if you're a doer, good for you. You want to just go ahead and do, let me know what I need to do and go ahead. I want to encourage you to make the effort to engage in thinking about the things that are asked of you just a little bit more, just enough more. So you're just asking, is this what we ought to be doing? Is this the best way for us to handle this? What are the dangers in going this direction that is being proposed? And being able to ask those things of yourself and then of your boss before you go ahead and just plow ahead with what's being asked again. And I say this having seen too many instances where businesses have been ruined by people who were unfortunately very ignorant of what was going on in the business that they worked for. And sometimes that was beyond their control. But other times there's a lot of people I've seen that just don't want to know. And I understand it. You have a lot going on in your personal life. You really just want to come and get your work done and go home. But listen, when you don't have stability in the workplace and you end up hopping from job to job, that's costly. You have all those times where you don't have income coming in, and that is costly to go through those seasons. And it's so much better in so many ways to simply have a healthy work environment that produces that kind of safety and stability, that produces growth, so that businesses fail less often and everybody makes more money in the long run when that happens, including owners and investors. Uh, so, as you can tell, I'm not really talking right now, though, to leaders. The leaders, if you're watching, hello, yes, you do want to make your environments the type of safe environment where people can speak up and you can have good arguments. So valuable. But I'm talking to those if you're not at leadership level, but you have things being asked of you coming down from your executive team or from managers, and you see potential dangers in what is being asked. I want you to find a way practice a way within your environment and with the personalities you're dealing with to be able to bring up those concerns in a productive way. Now, how can we do that productively? Um, well, one of the things that you want to do is just find a way to bring up potential solutions and alternatives. Don't just bring up the problem, bring up the concern, and then bring up the way that you think it would be better that, hey, we can do this way and we can avoid those dangers and it will be better for the business. Or even better, if you can stop and think, what is leadership trying to achieve? Look past just the ask and go, what is it that they actually want to achieve by this? And then break it down, a little first principles thinking, and go back and break it all down yourself and work everything back through and go, okay, is there a way for us to achieve that in a way that has a better chance of success, in a way that doesn't have the dangers of the method that's being asked right now? Come up with that alternative path to success. That alternative path to success. Bring it up. Bring it up. Propose it that way and see if you don't have some success of your own in doing that, right? If that doesn't succeed, because that's really 9 times out of 10, executive teams and leadership just have somewhere they want to get, and they're barking the orders they're barking because that's the only way they know how to get there. So give them an alternative way. If the way that they're proposing could be dangerous, if the way that they're proposing could be harmful, let's create another path. And that in itself, if you can just do that, if you can get in the habit of doing that and finding good ways to put new ideas in front of decision makers, you're going to help them look good. And that's going to be good for your career. You're going to help them look good, and you're going to help them succeed. And that's going to mean more success for you. And again, everybody wins this way, because the alternative, frankly, is if you just don't do that and you're so concerned about your job and your income that you're afraid to say anything. First of all, that might say something about the environment you're in, and I'm sorry if that's the case. But when you start to do that, then you do just get very myopic. You're going to get very self-focused, and pretty soon you're not going to be as willing to help the people around you. You're going to just start looking out for number one. You're just going to start looking out for yourself more and more. And if everybody in your business does that, that's a recipe for disaster. Certainly not a fun place to work, but also it's going to negatively affect how much money you make and how stable the place is. So let's not do that. Stability, safety, and growth. Stability and safety produce growth. And the other way that we start to think in this different manner is by thinking long term. We've got to realize when we're thinking about how we want to progress with our business and the business decisions that we want to make and that we're making as a group. Even, are we making today decisions or tomorrow decisions? And I want to encourage you to make and think. Well, I want to encourage you to think more long term. Think more long term as much as possible. There are things for today. We're not talking about all one or the other. We're talking about the balance. And in the balance, you want to be thinking as many steps ahead as possible. You want to play that chess game and project out, well, if I make this decision, then it's going to mean this, and that's going to lead probably to that. And the better you can get at that, the better decisions you can make today. And that's what we want to do. We want to make those good decisions today that help us avoid the problems, that help us avoid the issues tomorrow. And that's the best way to get in that habit and to increase performance. But again, I don't think you're going to think that way if you're just focused on your own job, your own success, your own worries, and the whole idea of I'm just going to keep my head down and do what I'm asked. I'm just going to keep my head down and do what I'm asked. Again, I understand some of you are in situations because the personalities involved. Maybe that's just the way it has to be for you. I would encourage you to find a different place to work if that's the case, if it's really that locked down. Um, but I also believe that what I just discussed, learning good ways to bring up different ideas, bringing up options and alternatives, alternative ways to succeed, will help you overcome that type of situation. If you have someone that is very much busy, head down, locked in, bring new ideas and new proposals, and make it clear that this is a path where we can succeed. This is a path that does get you what you want. They still may not want to go for it, but over time, if you present those in the right place and in the right way, um, at the right time, it will make things better if there's any way for things to get better. And that has to happen though with having that vision of long term thinking. Long term thinking. It's not common anymore. Everybody gets very locked in, and you get very very busy. If you get too busy, you can just get in this cycle of where you are just cranking things out, and you'll get a pat on the back, but your business may be gone in a year or two as well if everybody's just doing that and not enough long-term thinking is going on. So that's what I believe anyway. That's what I've seen. So long-term thinking. So look, so remember, a business exists to make money, uh, but stability and safety leads to growth, which produces the profit that we all want and need. Okay. And then today versus tomorrow, long term thinking versus short term thinking. Get in the habit of thinking long term as much as possible, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. More and more, the more that you think that way, the better ideas you're going to come up with. And circling back around to the beginning of what we said, that's when you can have those good ideas that offer an alternative path. And you're going to be able to give good, simple reasons for why it's a better path because you will have thought multiple steps ahead. You can present that and say, here's why this is a better route for us to go. And here is the danger that it helps us avoid. And then you go ahead and give what your solution is. You're going to help your business and you're going to help yourself by doing that. And so if you are a person who is like, Brad, I am just concerned that I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to lose my job and I just want to take home a paycheck and I won't have to worry about this over much. If you do this and get in the habit of working this way, in the end, it won't be that much extra hassle. It won't be any extra hassle for you really overall because you're getting the habit of doing it enough, not all the time, but enough. And you will help your business survive and thrive. And that means you're going to have less to worry about. Let me say that again. It's going to help your business survive and thrive. And that means you will have that much less to worry about. Right? Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. Good. So, having said all that, this is the type of thing then that allows us to be in everything together and help one another up and be more concerned about what's going on in the business overall and taking a more holistic view to everything instead of all of us just being focused on our department, on our role, on whatever we're doing. Suddenly your eyes will open up and you want to help everyone maximize their effectiveness. And that's when you start to all feel like we're in this together instead of everyone fighting for their piece of the pie. So, okay, bonus there. Anyway, homework for this subject. Identify your blinders. Identify your blinders. Try to identify what it is that is currently being avoided in discussions. When important discussions come up in your team, whether it's a leadership team or whether it's just your group or whatever it is, if there are things that you're avoiding talking about, that is probably those are probably the very things you need to be applying this to. Those are probably the subjects you need to think longer term about. You need to come up with alternative solutions for things that you've just been putting blinders on so you can just keep your head down and work, right? So identify your blinders. Identify, or more precisely, identify what you've put the blinders up for. What are you trying not to see? And allow yourself to see it. Allow yourself to see it, and then walk through all of this and see if there isn't some way, some opportunity for you to help your business address these concerns, or these areas, these goals, even that they have, in a way that is better, in a way that's going to avoid whatever caused you to put those blinders up, whatever those concerns are. You're going to think of a way to address those concerns and help your business move forward. But you've chosen to ignore some things. We all choose to ignore some things. I don't want to deal with that. There's feels like there's risk there if I say something. Okay, fair enough. This is your chance to try to find a way to address these concerns in a way that feels less risky to you, right? That's going to be more helpful to you. It's going to be more helpful to your business. So identify your blinders, and I may do a whole nother episode on this kind of thing, because it's the same as identifying the elephant in the room, or elephants in rooms of different companies. I do think if you it just dawned on me over the weekend as I was thinking about trying to help businesses perform better, and realizing I think you can make an interesting map in a lot of businesses if you could get everyone to admit and identify what the elephants are in the room that nobody wants to talk about, all of them. If you could map those within a company, I think you're going to reveal most of the gaps, of the dangers in a business, and how it's operating and how everybody's thinking. And if you could identify all of those and be willing to address them to the best of your ability as a business, that's kind of exciting to me, and I'm going to delve more into that. But this is just on the personal level. So for you, identify where you've chosen to turn a blind eye, and the things that you just wanted to look past because you want to get your work done and move on. But then be smart about it. Okay, don't just go off on the thing and say something. Find a good way to bring a productive solution, a productive idea to the appropriate people at the appropriate time, where it has a good chance of success and a good chance of getting addressed. And be professional about it. And yeah, it will be good. It will be a growth opportunity at least. And yes, you may have to adjust your approach if you get negative feedback to trying to say something. So adjust. But thinking long term, it's always better. It's just always better for everyone. And I know it can be scary, but everything has consequences. You've got to choose what risks you're willing to take. And this is a small risk, really, that I'm saying. If you do it right, if you think it through, if you do it in a wise way, it shouldn't be that big of a risk, but it can have a huge upside. And then it can start to spread too. You can change a business's future by just starting to get this worked in to your corporate culture. It'll be a better place to work, more profitable. Everybody wins again. So not pie in the sky. I've seen it happen. I've seen it applied. Maybe you have too. And I want to encourage you to go ahead and step out, be bold, and see if this doesn't lead you to a better place within your work life. So anyway, that's all I've got for today. Thanks so much for joining us on the Daily Dance. I want to remind you can find us on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, and on LinkedIn. And would love if you would subscribe on Locals, where we're trying to build a community where we can have conversations around these topics and back and forth, kind of your daily stand-up that you can take with you regardless if you shift jobs, whatever happens in your life. Just a steady presence to encourage you and to help you train up and to give you hopefully a broader perspective on your life, and especially your work life and what you can do in it. So I want nothing but the best for you guys and success for everyone. I hope you can find some encouragement, some training here. Please let friends and family know. about our little show. We don't do a lot of advertising or anything like that. We rely on word of mouth. And even if this show wasn't particularly useful to you, we have loads that you can go back and look at the history of all of our shows, and there may be someone else that could benefit. So please pass the word. We would appreciate it. Keep doing everything that you can do to improve the world around you, your world, your relationships. Uh, just do your best. Do your best, and everything will come out right in the end. So, thanks again for listening. Thanks again for joining us on the Daily Dance. And as always, remember to